choose what. Yeah, we're there. Hey, Richard, good to see you.
Hi, Mella, lovely to see you too.
Yes, and today I'm going to interview you because I'm very curious about your journey. And we are also going to talk about mindset because that, of course, is my my biggest interest. So what I'm curious about, well, actually, if it's okay with you to talk a bit about your whole journey in life, and I get a bit distracted by the beautiful sun, but I have to really, well, let's go. So what about your whole life journey, if you want to share a bit about that, and also about your crypto journey?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm 50 years old. I've got 3 children. I've got an 18-year-old daughter from my first marriage and a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old from my second marriage. My wife is Russian. So I spent a few years living in Moscow. We spent a couple of years living in Cyprus and then moved back to the UK. I left school when I was 16. I had some qualifications, but I didn't stay on for any sort of advanced level stuff. And I worked for my parents' company for 10 years, actually. They sold scientific equipment, and I sort of started off in the office there and then ended up out on the road selling stuff. Decided that actually selling wasn't for me. I wasn't particularly good at it and I didn't really enjoy it. So I kind of moved around for a bit, and then I fell into event management, actually courtesy of my sister. She was working for a company and she knew I was at a loose end, and she said, look, we need someone to project manage these events. You're pretty organized, do you want to do it? And I was like, well, why not? And so that was what I did. That was like 1998. And I worked for a couple of different companies, got a taste for sort of traveling all over the world and staying in expensive hotels on somebody else's dime. And then I set up my own
things to do.
Exactly. And then I set up my own company in 2005. Yeah, 2005. And
also in event management, that was.
In event management, yeah. And I had some clients that I basically from, right, was that 2005? Yeah, it was. 2006, sorry, into 2006. So I basically ended up with a whole bunch of clients that were very loyal to me, a few Dutch-based ones, actually, the Central Dredging Association in Delft and the International Association of Dredging Companies in The Hague, and Elsevier, in Amsterdam. So they were a very big client of mine.
Yeah. And
through their Oxford office. So I did that for until 2020, when of course the world stopped. and the event management fell off a cliff, and that was the end of my company, honestly. So there was just no way, because all of my clients, they just cancelled events. Of course, they weren't running. And even now, I'm in touch with people, and they're still running pretty much everything in-house, and they're doing them virtually. And I like to meet people, I like to be out there, and I like traveling. So running a virtual conference isn't my thing, and virtual conferences don't take much running. They don't take the same sort of resources and manpower, so they can do everything in-house.
What did that do to you? Because that, I think, after 15 years of running a company, and I know you as a people's person, that must have come as quite a shock. How did you? What was your first reaction to that?
Because it didn't happen sort of overnight. It was sort of a 6-month transition, really, and because nobody knew what was going to happen. So my clients were still saying, "Okay, we'll postpone this event. We'll make it next year," and of course, come sort of September, October time last year, I was just looking at this and thinking, actually, do you know what? It's not gonna happen. And for a couple of years, actually, I'd been. It's quite draining, actually, event management. I've been doing it for sort of over 20 years, and I was in my 20s, late 20s when I started, and you don't have the same sort of energy levels, and being sort of 16 to 20 hours a day sometimes on site working for 4 or 5 days at a time, plus you're in different time zones. You can be 8 hours different time zone, China or West Coast the States. And it was just exhausting. I come back shattered, with 2 little kids as well at home. There wasn't any rest to be had when I got back. So I've been thinking about leaving, but hadn't really known what to do. And it was just one of those light bulb things. I got into crypto in 2017, and I did a sort of a couple of courses then, and I bought some stuff, and then I sort of lost interest in it, and work got busy, and and I decided to sort of resurrect that and look into it. So I basically did all the things that we now teach people not to do. Don't put a whole load of money with one company that the managing director basically ran off with all the funds and cost me a whole Bitcoin.
Wow.
So that was towards the end of last year. Just before that, and so sort of September, October time, I took the decision, actually, I'm going to just quit the event management completely. I'm just going to step away from it totally, make that decision, because I was finding it hard to focus with that still potentially in my head. That might not be happening. And I thought, my gut feeling was that nothing was really going to happen. And so I just thought I'd better off putting my energy somewhere else. And so I found,
you didn't really have a shock from one day to the other, and it also actually was quite, well, it was a quite natural flow for you when I hear you say that you actually were already preparing to leaving the business behind.
Yeah, it was a relief, actually,
Oh, wow.
in the end, to step away from it and to say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. And the other thing was that my traveling a lot, it impacts your family life as well, and your sort of spouse, and I was traveling a lot. So it actually, 2020 with the lockdowns with the kids at home, initially it was just like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to deal with this. But I in the mornings, I would come. I'm an early bird, so I'm usually up sort of 5:30, 6 o'clock anyway. I just get up, go and meditate, go for a walk. I live in a beautiful village in the countryside, so I can literally walk out my front door and just be in the countryside. And there's a hill just opposite where I live, so I walk up there, sit on the bench there with a beautiful view, and just meditate. And I was finding that was really helping me during the daytime. It was just really just keeping me calm, whereas I would have been probably more stressed and anxious being around the children all the time, and just because they can do that to you. I was just really, really calm, and it really helped me a lot. So that's a practice that I've kept up since then. Not always the walk, but I always try and get in a meditation in the morning first thing. And so sort of October time, I decided to quit event management. November time, I signed up for Sean's blockchain assets course. Well, actually October time, I signed up for his course, and then basically signed up for his inner circle pretty much simultaneously. And he was like, no, if you've got your assets in this place, get them out. So I tried to withdraw them, and literally I missed the last withdrawal by 2 days before everything went west.
Oh, wow.
And so that was like our savings gone as well. And it's interesting, actually, because I've had depression in the past, and I had a lot of money anxiety as well. And whilst obviously it was a blow, in the past it would have literally been the end of the world, something like that happening.
Yeah.
That, and having no actual job.
Oh yeah, because you just decided to quit your job or your
and actually it was like 4 days before Christmas, and as well, and my wife was amazing about it. Honestly, she was really understanding about it. I'm not sure, honestly, I would have been quite so understanding had it been the other way around. I would be now. So I basically threw myself into the blockchain side of things. I completed the blockchain assets course with Sean, signed up for his inner circle, set up a Facebook group, and started the Homeschool DeFi Club. Because with all the COVID stuff that was happening last year, we decided to take our 6-year-old out of school. And so we took him out of school Christmas last year as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on around Christmas last year, and to home educate him. And so it's been a really interesting journey, because what came out of the home education was just the realization of how much time and effort it takes, and that you can't, if you're a parent that's doing this, you can't earn an income.
No.
So I set up my group to sort of targeted at people that are home educating, to help them earn a passive income through the blockchain and through cryptocurrency. And that's kind of where we are now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, yeah. So what I'm curious about, so you tell you've been working for your parents in their
Mhm.
company.
Yeah.
Um, and of course that is quite a while back. And looking back at that, did that entrepreneurial background help you along your way with all the things you've done and also now with your crypto?
It's interesting. I think the entrepreneurial genes are definitely in the blood because my sister's the same as well. She's sort of self-employed and does her own thing. And I mean, my parents hit some really bad money problems. They got ripped off by a business partner in the mid 1980s when I was about 14 years old. And I always swore that I would never work for myself.
Ah, yeah, because of that experience.
Because of that
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Yeah. Because they struggled for a long time. You know, the family home nearly went a few times along the way, and all this sort of thing. So they had real struggles. And it was say 2006. I was looking at moving away from London down to Somerset, and it's just not a lot of work down in this part of the world. Not certainly not for event management. So I looked at setting up on my own. And that kind of everything over the next year or two, but just things really came together. And my wife at the time was working, so we had an income, and I was able to sort of build the business from home, which I was really blessed actually. I had some really lovely clients over that time.
yeah, yeah. So that helped with the whole knowing also the dangers of the whole entrepreneurial endeavor, I think.
Absolutely, and I mean, it also helped me get over. I think I had a lot of blocks surrounding money as well,
Mm.
generally, and so it helped me because once I saw, I was essentially, as soon as I started working for myself, within a year or two, I trebled the wage that I was previously on working for people. You know, so I think I always thought I could never earn that sort of money. So that was one myth kind of blown. And I think that's also helped with my journey into the blockchain side of things as well. Although there's still stuff that I need to work on. I think there's still some
So we have that all.
of lack, yeah,
Yeah.
so in some places. But I do a lot of abundance meditations and stuff to try and
Yeah, that's great.
yeah,
I love it that you say that, because what I see a lot with crypto, there's two different types of people. People that think you can become a millionaire overnight, and they risk everything in a way. I'm like, wow, are you for real?
yeah, uh-huh.
um, Oftentimes I don't say all the times, but oftentimes they also lose a lot.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so, but on the other hand, I also see a lot of people that think that the whole crypto thing is a scam and that you need to be extremely careful. And I believe, even if I also still have to do a little work on the abundance side, because I do believe that the whole crypto space, and not just crypto, I think the whole blockchain space, the decentralized space we are in, is about taking control back to us and taking responsibility. And I
Mhm.
do see there's a lot of work to do there. And also the, how do I say that? The abundance is maybe not necessarily in earning millions, because I think there is a max that you can spend and that you can
Yeah,
enjoy.
yeah.
Also because of the responsibility that comes with it. And yeah, how do you see that?
I think it's interesting you bring up the point of responsibility, personal responsibility, because we've been so conditioned over time. We're conditioned by school, we're conditioned in the workplace. If you're on benefits, you're being conditioned. We're conditioned by the banks to think that none of this is our responsibility. It's all somebody else's responsibility. You send your children to school, it's the state's responsibility. You basically, you put your money in the bank. It's the bank pays you interest. They tell you what they tell you what they're going to pay you for your money that they're holding, and it's nothing.
Well, it's not even your
Um,
money when you put it in the bank, but that's another.
well, that's the other point, isn't it? Exactly. So that's an abdication of responsibility as well. And it's and the benefit system is designed to suck people into this trap as well. In all countries, it's designed to do that. It's designed to take away people's sense of personal responsibility and make them dependent. So it's a real eye opener when you step into crypto and blockchain for the first time, because all of a sudden, that realization that you can be your own bank is quite powerful, and at the same time it's quite intimidating.
Yeah. There's no one to blame, and that is
No.
if you do something wrong, yeah, it's too bad. And
Yeah.
I do understand that a lot of people find that scary.
Yeah.
How have you experienced that for yourself when you first entered in 2017? Did you realize that?
No, I mean, I didn't, because at that time as well, there just weren't the options open to us that there are now. You could make money in two ways in 2017. It was either you just held your coins and hope they went up in value, or if you were into trading, you could trade them.
Yeah.
And that was really the only means you had of making money in crypto for the average person anyway.
Yeah.
So no, I had none of that, and I went into it in a fairly small way to start with, anyway. So I didn't put huge amounts in there. And as I say, kind of life took over, and after sort of 6 months of playing around with it every day, I sort of moved, sort of my business got busier again, and I moved on to other stuff, and then decided to revisit it, and got quite a nice surprise when I opened a wallet that I hadn't opened in
It's hanging on for dear life does work.
yeah, exactly. and then it was like, well, okay, so what can I do with this? How can I use it to bring myself an income?
Yeah. So you started in 2017. What attracted you to even get into this whole space? Yeah, that's
easy money.
Easy money. Yeah. So
I mean, it was a lot of people at the time. The crypto markets at that point, were starting to go on a bit of a bull run, because I got in towards the tail end of 2017, and and it was just, okay, well, this looks like a relatively easy way to make money. Let's try this. And then quickly found out that it wasn't quite as easy as maybe I would have thought. But I still, like I say, I sort of stuck with it for a bit and played around with it, and you could see the potential in there. But then I just left it alone. So I got into it for all the wrong reasons, quite honestly.
Yeah. No, but I like that. You know why I like that is, I think most of us did get in for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
It is new, and you don't know, and it's still new. We can't. It's Bitcoin was only introduced in 2009, so even we are experts because we are in for a long time, so to say.
I know.
But we're the wrong reasons sometimes also bring you a lot of things, I think.
Yeah. Well, and it depends how open your mind is, doesn't it, to sort of learning and adjusting. And if you're capable of looking at yourself and saying, well, okay, that wasn't right, but I can fix this, and I can do better, or I can do it differently.
Yeah, so that's my next question is, why didn't you quit? Because you've had quite some hurdles to take. What made you go on?
Because I could see the potential in it. I could see the potential in it to not only sort of change my life, but to change other people's lives as well. We're all, and it was particularly after having watched Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money, that was a very big spur, honestly, and finding out how broken our banking systems are and how they're designed to keep you enslaved, designed to keep you in debt, designed to keep your nose to the ground, working so that you're not looking around at what is actually going on in the world. And to me, it seemed like just a really amazing just opportunity to remove myself from that system, and to try and help remove other people from it as well, because especially when COVID blew up, and a lot of people were calling it for what it was from the start. And again, it just underlined the need to get away from centralized systems. Yeah. And so crypto, the fact that it's decentralized, and the whole decentralized finance world, that makes it really attractive.
Yeah, to me too. But what is it, if somebody who isn't into crypto watches this, mm-hmm. What is it that you find the most attractive part of the decentralized finance?
Well, it's empowering. I mean, it empowers us to live our own lives away from these corrupt and broken systems. It's the fact that you don't have one entity controlling monetary policy. I mean, if you look at the States, you've got the Federal Reserve, you've got the Bank of England here, and they control the monetary policy. There doesn't need to be inflation. They could, there doesn't. It's manufactured
Yeah.
to basically keep people poor. So if you can find a system that you can step outside of that, and of course crypto, there's a finite supply of coins for any given coin. So it's not like fiat currency where they're printing money for fun and there seems to be just an infinite supply of it. The coins have a utility, they have a use behind each cryptocurrency. There are some fascinating projects, honestly.
Absolutely.
Some stuff that's really going to change the world. So they get value from that utility as well, and it's absolutely mind-blowing that you can do all these things. And if even some of the coins are deflationary as they're used, they're being burned. And again, so all these things help to sort of stabilize and give it value, which our fiat currency just does not have.
And that can never happen with fiat currency. So
No,
that
it
is,
can't.
yeah.
All the while you've got these people in power making these policies, you're never going to have any kind of freedom from anything.
No, I love your passion about it. I when I listen to you, I'm like, I totally agree with you, and it could have been me saying the same thing. I love that.
I think a lot of us in this space are in it for similar reasons, though. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For me, it absolutely changed my life, and it made things possible I never thought would be possible.
Yeah.
So within this, because it's only a year ago that you seriously went into the whole crypto business as well, I always say a blockchain is my business and crypto is part of that. So how do you look at your crypto business at the moment? What did it bring to you, and where do you want to go with it in the coming years?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. It's brought so much. I mean, it is putting me, I basically started this year with pretty much nothing after sort of the losses that I made in crypto previously and the company and everything. So it's put me well on the road to financial recovery. That's a big thing, because once you're not looking over your shoulder, it frees you up to do a lot more things. It's introduced me to an amazing set of people, of which you're one, the DVM coaches, and the wonderful people. Some amazing people in my group. They're virtual home educators. They're all doing the best to survive. They just want freedom at the end of the day to do what they want to do. And so many people have sort of picked up on crypto and gone, yes, okay, I'm not sure how to do this, but I'm going to learn. And that's just a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so beautiful, that the willingness to educate yourself and to also go beyond your own comfort zone and your own comfortable boundaries, because that is absolutely what you need when you go into crypto, is my opinion.
Absolutely. And the thing is, with crypto, it's a completely different way of thinking about finance than we're used to. It turns everything we know and have grown up with pretty much on its head. So it's not just a case of learning something new, it's having a complete turnaround in the way that you view finance. And a lot of people have very ingrained views on how things should be done and how things have been done. And so I've met a whole bunch of wonderful people. I've obviously got involved with Thrive Tribe as well, which has been what they're doing over there is just fantastic, and building up freedom families. And with that, again, just helping people make a difference to their lives, honestly. And that's a huge privilege to have, to be in a position. I've literally just come off the call with Sean Maloney, who's my mentor, and just had my monthly mentoring call with him, and we were discussing this, and it's a massive privilege to be in a position to help these people. And you're looking at people now, they're faced with no jab, no job. Again, we're in a position with doing what we're doing to be able to say you have a choice.
So do you think that the whole blockchain crypto space is the solution for everything?
It's not going to be the panacea for all the evils, but I think that the centralized finance system is one of the biggest evils out there, probably after centralized government, honestly. And the sooner that we can step outside of that, the sooner that we can start to make our own reality. So crypto, it's blockchain, it's a tool. It's a tool to do a job, and I see that job as being able to move outside of the centralized systems and build the world that we want outside of those. And that's purely all it is. It's not, crypto isn't good or bad. I mean, we're hearing about central bank digital currencies. You can be bet they're not going to be used for anything good. But the crypto in itself, it's agnostic. It's what you
Well,
use it for.
I like it that you say that, because I was educated as an artist, and we learned that money is, well, you do not learn it, but money is not something you talk about when you are educated as an artist. Not at all.
The starving artist,
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
So the idea of the starving artist is sort of embedded into that education. So the moment I started educating myself on economics and finances and money,
Mhm.
there were a lot of people telling me how bad money was.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I love what you're saying about crypto and blockchain. It's just a tool, just like money, or actually we can't call it money because it's currency. The
Currency.
euro and the and the pound
Yeah.
and everything is just currency. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah.
But the moment you educate yourself, you find out it's just a tool, just like I use my hammer and nails to put together a hut or whatever I'm
Yeah.
making as an artist. It's just tools, and what I hear you say is that you need to know how to use these tools for your own benefits. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as I've been scammed out of money. I'm sure you're always saying you've had your situations as well. It can be a very difficult and daunting world to get into, because there are a lot of scam artists out there, and so getting yourself educated and getting yourself into communities that are already into this and are acting from a place of integrity is really, really vital. And there's so much. I mean, when we started, and you started before me in this sort of blockchain journey, there was almost nothing out there,
No,
really. But
really.
not like there is now. And so there's no excuse, honestly, not to get properly educated. There are so many free resources available to people. Why wouldn't you? But I would never just dive straight into something now without fully researching it, doing some due diligence. That's certainly what my education has taught me this last year.
That's the bumps and hurdles that taught you
Yeah.
that.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the point. There's people like Mella and myself who are here to help you avoid those pitfalls. I mean, that's basically what we want to do. We want to take people and hold them by the hand and sort of guide them through what can be a little bit of a minefield sometimes, and very overwhelming as well, because there's so much out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the minefield, I don't think, like you say, there are a lot of scammers out there, but not just in the crypto world.
No,
I think
absolutely
it's
not.
everywhere, and especially now in these days, the need for, well, all kinds of things. I think it's also fed by all kinds of things, but we think we need more and more and more. And when you feed that, there's scammers around the corner.
Yeah.
I think that is what the whole system supports. And how do you see the responsibility you have to take? Is that just for crypto, or when it comes to freedom, I think that you need to take responsibility with everything.
Absolutely, it's for every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you be sovereign if you're not taking full responsibility for every aspect of your life, if you're abdicating responsibility in other areas of your life? Now, obviously, it's a lot easier said than done. A lot of people have jobs, they rely on the money from those jobs to live. And this is the point. This is what we're trying to educate people in, is that there is another way, and you do have a choice. It might not happen overnight, but we can help point you in the right direction for financial sovereignty. And with that, once you get financial sovereignty, it opens up so many other options for gaining freedom in your life. You can kiss goodbye to your boss, you can kiss goodbye to the government, you can step outside the banking systems, and live your life that way.
And hopefully
So
make your dream life come true, because that to me is one of the things that I see a lot of people stop dreaming because of the circumstances. Have you been able to make your dreams come true through all your life, or has crypto also accelerated that?
crypto is accelerating that. You know, I mean, now I could never afford to own my own home. And you know, we know people in our circle that are actually, through their efforts in crypto, and they didn't start with much, are buying their own home.
Yeah.
So you know, these things are possible, and when you see that actually happening and people manifesting this for themselves, it really does spur you on. And so you know, I now know that I can achieve my dreams because I'll have the financial backing to do that. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's happening, and I'm well on the way to it. I could never have dreamed a year ago that I would be where I am now. You
Yeah,
know,
amazing, right?
it's just incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are together in the 3 months to cash flow
Hmm.
program as coaches, and I
Yeah.
love working with you. What would you say to people when it comes to that program and other potential education, how do you say that, possibilities?
Yeah. Look, money spent on education is never ever wasted. I've never spent money on education and regretted it ever. You might not always use it immediately, but you will use it at some point, and you will refer back to it at some point. You know, if some people are able to dive into this space and they just swim, okay,
Mhm.
they just absorb the information like sponges. They get it, and they're just able to go. Other people step in and are just immediately overwhelmed, and they just need a bit of hand holding through it, which is absolutely fine. I mean, God knows, I wish it had been available for me. So you know, so and that's really good, because the 3 months to cash flow, all we're doing is giving you the tools to start making passive income, but also giving you the tools to carry on past the 3 months, and to be able to continue with that. And it's the old saying, isn't it? You give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach him how to fish, he can eat for life.
Yeah,
And that's really what 3 months to cash flow is about. It's about giving you the tools so that you can go out fishing.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. And build the confidence that you can catch the fish you want. So that is, to me, the one of
yeah,
the
I
things
mean,
I love about it.
mindset's a huge part of this. People, I mean, you know that better than anyone, Meta. People, you have to be in the right place in your head to do this as well.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you say that, because a lot of times people ask me, what does mindset have to do with such a practical thing as crypto? How do you see that?
It's vitally important. I mean, we talked a little while back about, you know, people having blocks when it comes to money. You know, blocks that I inherited from when I was a kid that I'm sort of getting over now, sort of 35 years later. You know, like you say, people sort of, money's the root of all evil, and rich people are bad, and you know, there's all this stuff out there, and it does kind of seep into your mentality. So it's absolutely vital that you're in a place where you're ready to accept the fact that you can earn money, that you're worthy to earn money, and just to get your head around that fact, because it's very easy to fall into negative mindsets when it comes to money as well. You know, I don't deserve it, and everybody's, you know, why is everybody making money except me? And how come I never make anything? And to fall into those traps, and if you're in that mindset, money's an energy.
And it's hard to
It'll
get
run
out.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you, when you're in that kind of mindset, it's hard to get out if you don't stop it. And
Yeah.
that is also one of the things where I see taking responsibility actually starts with what you're thinking.
Yeah,
What do you put
absolutely.
into your mind? What kind of people do you have around you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's one of my favorite books is The Untethered Soul. And you know, I can't think of the guy that wrote it now off the top of my head, but he basically, one of the first paragraphs in there, he said that if that little voice in your head, sort of the ego thing, you know, if that little voice in your head was a real life person, you would have them locked up in an insane asylum, because if you wouldn't let anybody else talk to you like that.
Well, and that is the thing. We talk to ourselves in a way sometimes in our head that we would never dream of talking to somebody else. If
Uh-huh.
I've had thoughts in my mind talking to myself, and when I realized it, I was like, I would never say that to anybody, but why is that in my head? So let's stop it.
Yeah.
Have you had that over the last couple of years that when you started to change your way of thinking about the event management, like when you said it's when you get older, it takes more energy, and having
Mhm.
to work 20 hours a day is tough. And
Yeah.
you know, when you're 20, you don't feel it that much, but I think it's even tough when you're 20. Been there, done it.
Yeah.
But you handle it because you're very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Have you had this mindset shift, or is it a shift? How did your mindset help you with that, or
Oh, I used to have a lousy mindset. I've suffered with depression at various points in my life, and it's affected a lot of my relationships. And with my current wife, we were going through a difficult patch because of my depression. And in the end, I'd been to sort of see a couple of psychologists and stuff, and it just none of that really stuck with me. So I decided I didn't want to go the pharmaceutical route because I don't think that does anybody any good. So I just started reading, and I started doing courses. I went to Mind Valley and did some courses there. I read book after book. Let's say The Untethered Soul was one that really, where the penny suddenly dropped, about how you're responsible for your thoughts and how you can change that. Because it sounds stupid to say it now, but it hadn't even occurred to me that all this negative self chatter, I could actually turn it around, and I could actually stop it.
so you were really working hard on your mindset to get your depression
Yeah.
to another level?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've literally for a year I did virtually nothing, outside of work apart from read books, go on courses, just really try to and it's worked. I mean, I think it's one of those things you never entirely lose it, and you always have to be careful of what of your thoughts. But I mean, that goes anyway, even if you don't have depression. So for me, I was already well on that road when all this hit. I
Yeah.
think if I hadn't have been, I think I would have been in a complete tailspin. Honestly, I think what happened last year would have been had really serious consequences.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. It's what do I want to say? There's so much in my mind now. You know, I believe that your mind needs to be trained, or can be trained, just like muscles. You
Mhm.
need to work on your thoughts, on literally nutrition. What kind of food do you eat, because that influences your whole body. But that's my holistic approach to life in general. But I love what you're saying about, because you've been working on your mindset, and because actually thanks to your depression you have been able to go through a pretty rough time where a lot of people actually do suffer from anxiety, and the whole the whole lockdown, and
Yeah.
well, situations that they it's hard to deal with.
Mhm.
So what I'm curious about is, you still do all kinds of practices, like you say, you meditate still every day.
Yeah.
Do you feel that talking about depression, because I think there's quite a taboo when it comes to depression, to
Yeah.
talk about it. Have you experienced that as well?
No, I find that people actually are getting being more and more open about having suffered from mental health issues generally. Honestly, I don't have an issue with talking about it. I think probably 2 or 3 years ago I would have done, but I think that was a mindset thing too. You know, why would anybody want to listen to me? Why, just
Mhm.
all again the negative chats in your head. And I mean, I would say I'm living, breathing proof that you can train your mind. One book I read recently actually was by a guy called Mathieu Ricard, who's a French guy, but he went to become a monk, a Buddhist monk, and he moved to India in his 20s. He's now in his 70s, and they did all sorts of. He's probably spent 10 to 20,000 hours meditating in his lifetime, and they had scientists go out there from different universities to test people who spent this time meditating versus people that hadn't, and just the changes in the way the brain reacts were just phenomenal. I mean, they couldn't explain anything, but there was a marked contrast between these guys that spent their lives meditating and people that didn't know what meditation was. um, and so yeah, absolutely, you can train your brain. out of these negative patterns and habits.
Yeah. So there's a flock of birds coming by. I think Zoom is filtering that out. No, but I believe that you can train your brain. I think that it's to me, it should be daily practice, just like training your muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, there's about the nutrition side of things. I used to run scientific conferences. So I used to hear, some food conferences, and there's a definite link between the guts and the brain. I mean, the gut has its own kind of brain anyway, but there are definite, absolutely, there's links. And your brain's probably one of your most valuable assets. So you should be careful what you feed it as well. You should be careful what you look at, what you read. And what you absorb, who you mix with, all these things make a difference, and they say that you're the sum of, the 5 or 6 people that are closest to you. And that, again, that's also very true. And I've found that since I've sort of pivoted in this last year and a half, there's people that because of COVID, are no longer having contact with. But there's lots more wonderful people that I am having contact with. And so you switch off the news. Of course, so many people are living in fear because of basically the media, because they believe, or they if you switch the news off, I wouldn't even know there's a pandemic or there's been a pandemic. Honestly, I live in the middle of the countryside, people in masks when I go to the supermarket, just what pandemic?
And I had this lovely philosophical chat with my daughter the other day about, okay, what if we were living on a island, just the two of us, or maybe a couple of people. There was no news. We didn't know if we didn't know there was anything outside of that island. And I love the idea that, then the whole world might collapse and we had this island and we just continue living. And that thought actually made me realize that you can make your own world by choosing what to look at, what to listen to, and who to interact with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're coming to the Thrive Tribe calls, and we're sat in there listening to what they're planning in this fantastic new world that's sort of being constructed as even as we sit and talk. And it's just wonderful. And I feel genuinely, I feel for people that are sitting listening to the news and are believing everything that they're being fed. Why people have started listening to politicians now and think they're telling the truth, I have no idea.
Well, but isn't that also part of taking responsibility over your own life, and not just listen to somebody telling you something, but also investigate what they're saying, and also listening to other people saying other things, and then weighing what resonates with you?
Yeah, again, you're right. It's about personal responsibility. If you're just doing what the government's telling you, you're just abdicating your responsibility to them. And then you kind of deserve what you get. A lot of people aren't going to like that, probably, but you do. If you're going to just sit there and blindly obey and and listen, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. Well, that is funny, because I realized the other day that I was brought up with the idea, and when I blindly followed somebody, my parents would say, you would not jump into the ocean when somebody just jumps into the ocean. And that is exactly what a lot of people are doing now. So I was like, where did that advice go bust?
The similar expression, you wouldn't go and jump off a cliff just because somebody else did it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing to me how that is actually happening at the moment. And I love it that we have a community where we can express ourselves. And I don't believe in the truth. There's a lot of different truths. And I believe that you need to investigate and see what resonates with you. I can't tell you what to do. Like, you had a depression and you resolved it in your way. Somebody else can choose it their way.
Absolutely.
And that is, to me, authenticity at its best. And then we can also come together, I hope.
Well, with the other part of this journey is that people can have opposing views, and you can respect that, and that's something that's being trampled all over at the moment.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you haven't had the vaccine, you're bad. You're selfish. You're a COVIDiot. You're an anti-vaxxer, or whatever. And it's well, it's a lazy narrative for one, but it basically they're trying to just squash all argument. And so they're same as it's not right for, if we don't want the vaccine to judge people that have had it.
Yeah.
That was their choice. They've made their decision. But there just seems to be a general lack of respect around that.
Well, and I think ethics in that respect are also, well, how do you say it? Tread by feet? Can you say it like that? That's a Dutch expression. Completely translated. Well, no, I think ethics in this whole discussion is oftentimes lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's the respect to listen to somebody else, and also and I come back to responsibility again, to take ownership and responsibility to your feelings, because sometimes it can hurt if somebody is not agreeing with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, you just have to sit back and look at that. That's your ego.
Yeah.
That's being hurt. It's not hurting you, it's hurting your thoughts.
Yeah, and then we come back to the mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's another great book, Ego is the Enemy. I don't know if you've read that one. Ego
I
is
haven't
the
read
enemy.
it. Yeah, but I'm just, that's a nice one. I have it on my book list to read. So yeah. I love it. Because everything comes down to, well, the choices you make. And I love your story and the choices you made. And I think you're doing quite well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've like I say, I've made my choices, and if it all goes wrong at some point, then I'm going to have to hold my hands up and accept responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Like I did last year, honestly, in a fairly big way. So yeah, it is personal responsibility, and that's what the blockchain space is about. It is about personal responsibility, in probably in a nutshell.
Yeah. So if you, your personal responsibility, and that I like it very much, because if you, what I perceive from a lot of people who are not in crypto or in the blockchain, they see it just as this technological thing somewhere out there.
Yeah.
But what you're actually saying is it's actually, yes, it is technology, but there comes a lot of awareness and self-responsibility with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get into it, you really do have to kind of step up in that department in a fairly big way, because like I say, we just said, we've been used to our whole lives being conditioned to handing those decisions to anonymous people in banks.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a shock when you do start to make those decisions, but it's really empowering.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So thank you so much for
No,
this
you're welcome, Bella.
interview.
It's been lovely chatting. It's been really nice to chat with you. So I'm going to get you back again onto my group one day as well. We'll do another.
I love that. So I'm going to share this on my group, and I share this with you, and I'm going to stop recording now.